Welcome to A Canadian Investing in the U.S., a podcast and YouTube channel focused on Canadians buying real estate with host Glenn Sutherland.
Welcome to another episode of A Canadian Investing in the U.S. This week, my guest is Thomas Lorini. Let's start by telling us a little bit about yourself.
Sure, great. Well, first of all, thank you for having me on your show. It's just an honor to be here, and thank you for the invite. So my story, where do we begin? I'm a Canadian, and now I'm a U.S. citizen. So let's kind of start from my background. I was born and raised in Toronto. Pretty much lived there most of my life. And then I met my wife here in California back in 2007. We ended up getting married, and she moved to Toronto. So we were married, and we're living in Toronto. I had both kids, both born in Toronto. And then we just vacation, come visit her family every year, a few times a year. We loved it down in California. Yeah. Our family's in Orange County. We got the consistent sunny weather. So we decided, let's give it a shot. Let's give it a shot. Come down here for 6 months and see if we liked it. So that was about almost 6 years now. And after 6 months, we're like, yeah, we like it here. So we ended up moving here, and we've been living here since. But I still consider myself a Canadian, born and raised, like I said. And, it's just my whole family's back in Canada. So we do go back and forth quite a bit. And I continue to invest in Canada in real estate. So it's something a little bit different, a little unique. I do invest in the U.S. as well. So I'd love to share a little bit kind of like my background in investing, how I got started, and what I'm doing today, if that's okay.
Yeah, let's do it.
Awesome. All right. So, my background originally was mechanical engineering. I went to school, studied, my dad had a machine shop growing up. So it was always kind of hands-on-y. And I went into that whole technical school, went to Centennial in Scarborough, got into engineering and manufacturing, positions, and pretty good. I was in many, management and supervisory roles. And in 2004, I bought my first property. And I just wanted to move out of my parents' house, got my first property. It was about 24, almost 25. And I quickly realized it's a 3-bedroom townhouse. And I was like, I don't need all this space. Maybe I'll rent the basement out to somebody. Let me see what I could do. And quickly rented it out. And the guy was paying me about $900 a month. And I was like, wow, this guy's paying my mortgage. That was my first taste of being a landlord. And I was like, I like this.
Yeah.
Someone else paying my bills. I'm able to save more money. So, that was the starting point. But it wasn't like things started scaling quickly after that. I was still in manufacturing at that point, and then I got married, and then had a child. But I always thought, I really want to get back into real estate or do more deals. I just I found it fascinating that I can have someone else paying for my retirement in essence, right? Yeah. So in 2011, I joined REIN, which was a network. I believe it's still around in Toronto and across Canada. I believe it's one of the more popular ones. Real estate investment network. And I joined that it was in January or February. And then by May, I bought my second property. It was a duplex in Hamilton. So, identifying the markets, where to invest in, all that stuff came about. Is like, I was living, just outside Toronto. Where can I invest? What can I afford? All those things came into play. But at some point, I tell people, you got to make a decision. So whatever it is, if you crunch the numbers, you look at all these different metrics, however you want to determine a growing market where rents are increasing, property values are increasing, you want to go there. But there were a number of different areas, Kitchener-Waterloo, there was Barrie and so forth. I decided Hamilton. So bought a duplex, and that first, truly rental property really gave me, a real good taste of of how challenging real estate can be. I almost gave up. And I kind of, this whole first property, the first year, I could probably go on for about an hour. But in a nutshell, I got really taken advantage by the contractor, and then had to find a different contractor to finish the work. Didn't get tenants into the actual property for like 6-7 months. And then I got tenants into them, had a flooded basement, dealing with contractors to address that issue. Actually put the market for sale a year later. It didn't sell. And I was like, man, this is crazy. And I would be driving out, an hour and a half to do my own open houses, to find my own tenants and all that stuff. So it was really a real learning curve. But, thankfully I still own that property. And my strategy is more buy and hold, never sell.
Yeah.
And the property is almost tripled in value since I bought it. So I'm thankful I've owned it. So I've gone through the scars. I've gone through all that, and then slowly, I had the courage to buy another property. So it was about a year and a half. I bought another property, a single family in Hamilton, and that's where I got a little more confident, because that one, I acquired it, fixed it up in a few weeks, put a tenant in place, and then just sat back. I was like, wow, this is how it should be. It's not rocket science. It shouldn't be that difficult. And, and if you have good people on your team, from contractors, agents, and whatnot, it should be relatively smooth. And that's what ended up happening. So from that point, we actually moved to the U.S. So at that point, I only had 3 properties. Moved to the U.S. and, I got out of engineering because I started having a passion for this whole real estate thing. So when we moved here, I had a decision to make. I could continue going into that field of manufacturing, or even telecom had some opportunities. But I said, you know what? Why don't we continue with real estate? So my wife's family, they're in land development and construction. So I said, you know what? It's real estate related. It's not quite what I was doing, rental properties, but I felt like, you know what? This could be a learning experience. And I could just kind of see a whole other side of the business. So I started doing that once we moved here. But I built a good team back in Canada, so I just kept investing. So quickly, I started acquiring other properties. I had the confidence now, so I would, and I had some capital, and I would just go out, buy a couple of condos, buy another single family, 6, 7, 8 properties within the next year and a half in the Hamilton area, and while I was living in the U.S. So one thing I like to address, maybe I'm not sure how much time we have on your show, but I like to kind of talk a little bit about kind of doing everything virtually. So, like I'm living in California, and all my properties are out of California. Most of them are in Canada, but I do have properties in Ohio and North Carolina as well. And a lot of times people come up like, how do you do that? How do you do everything? Is it expensive, or you got all these property managers in place? You got a lot of expenditures and whatnot. Or you have other partners that are doing all the work. And I'm like, not necessarily. The idea of virtual investing and even wholesaling now, that's something I do virtually.
Yeah.
I think it's something that it piques people's interest. When I entered into Windsor, I'd never been to Windsor, maybe once in my life when I was a kid, but I was here living in California. So what I did was pick up the phone and start dialing up numbers, talk to pretty much every property manager I could reach, every realtor I could reach, asking a lot of questions. And from there, I was making notes, getting familiar with different areas, getting familiar with, the local economy, what's going on, how are things changed, asking questions, and building the relationship all over the phone. So months of conversation will go by, and, you start building like a little bit of a relationship, and people start getting comfortable with you. And I'm like, okay, let's start making some offers. And they're like, okay, this guy's serious. So that's how things progress. We start making some offers, and then finally, the first property we actually found off market was through a property manager that, we had got this dialogue going, texting back and forth regularly. And soon enough, he's like, hey, I have a client, an older couple. They've had this property since like 1982, and they're looking to potentially like sell it. Are you interested? I'm like, what is it? And he's like, it was a fiveplex, 5-unit in this area. And it's got like a side lot to it that could potentially be severed. I'm like, I'm interested,
Yeah.
No brainer. We went back and forth a little bit, but he was a property manager and an agent. He represented both sides. So we pretty much got the deal done. So to go back to virtual, how I do everything virtually, I just kind of build relationships and have everything on my phone. Everything's done through pretty much texts and sometimes calls. So just like right now, we're communicating, virtually. We're doing this over the internet. We've never met in person, but now we're building a relationship. So imagine doing this on a week-to-week or month-to-month basis. We're going to start knowing a little bit about each other's lives. We're going to know about your family. It's going to come up. What do you like to do? So it's kind of like, each other. And then all of a sudden it's like, I really want to do a deal together. You may be more inclined to say, well, I've been talking to this Thomas guy now for 6 months. He's a pretty cool guy. I've seen what he's been doing. He's been sharing some stuff. So he looks legit. And, why not? Let's do something together. So I'll be doing all this virtually, from talking to realtors, talking to property managers and contractors. Once, a lawyer, those are pretty easy. You can get referrals. Referrals are another thing. So networks, I should emphasize that as well. So just as me and you connected off one of these Facebook groups is also how you can build relationships to connect with other potential investors, partners, or people to build your team. So I found in the last few years, these Facebook groups have been very good to connect with people and find some common elements and able to create win-win scenarios. So similar thing that we could transition into the US stuff. I do as well, but again, everything's virtual. Everything done through the phone.
I don't think. Yeah, I think it works the same whether you're Canada, US, wherever. But you're doing virtual wholesaling, right? So
yes.
What? There's some parts to doing wholesaling that is always what hangs everyone up, and everyone's always really interested in doing virtual wholesaling if they want to live in Canada and do it in the Midwest or wherever in the United States.
Sure.
So you're going to need some team members on the ground, right? Because you can always send out your mailers, you can buy lists and do all your typical wholesaling thing. What team members do you employ to have who are local to the market?
A good network of people to begin with, because you don't know where a deal can come from. Yes, you can spend the money in doing mailers and like what you mentioned, creating your own marketing campaign, but I'm finding deals through just people I know. Hey, this property is potentially available. Hey, I know this guy, he may want to sell, type of thing, right? So just building a relationship and networking with people is a good starting point. Then, yes, you can invest in marketing, and that could be done virtually. But locally, I think a good solid realtor, one or even two, that know their business, know the market, understand what your strategy is, what you're looking for, understanding that wholesaling, there needs to be additional buffer. So if there's something on the market, we're going to have to get it at enough of a discount to make sense to wholesale. If it's something that is off market, well, then, we're going to run comps. So they're going to help you do kind of that, that whole side to be able to analyze the deal and whatnot. Then there's inspections. You're going to need people to, walk the property, confirm certain things. So those are not very difficult. You pay someone, go to a property management company or a home inspection company, just walk the property, give you a report, $300-$400, whatever. And now you have the enough data to say, okay, this is a good deal. Now, once you acquire the property, then there's a whole slew of things. Do you have to do some repairs and maintenance to it? Well, you need a good contractor. So those are things that you should probably be building those relationships before you even acquire the property. So contractors, and there's a slew of them. You may have a general contractor or more specific ones.
Okay, I would like to go over the process a little bit. So you have gone and you have some connections. You've met people. They basically bring the deal to you.
Sure.
Would you have somebody? Would you actually do the negotiation all over the phone, or would you have someone who sits down at their coffee table and hashes out the deal for you?
Most of the stuff's done over the phone.
Okay.
Even to buy even buying your own principal home, you rarely talk to the home owner. You're going to have realtors in between.
Right.
So now what's the difference if I'm in the same city or I'm in a different state or different country? It doesn't really matter at that point. It comes down to, hey, we've got a sign back or we got a counter offer back, and now let's look at it and then reply back. If it's off market, then I may have an agent represent both sides. But yeah, most times, I'm rarely going, I can't say rarely, but a good percentage of the time I'm having someone in between. So that makes it a lot easier. And someone from that market. So I may, if it's somewhere in Ohio, I may have, someone that market that I trust. I can say, listen, can you go to the property or speak to the owner? I'm looking to make an offer in this particular house. Let's draft up the offer.
Or I guess you need a contractor to sort of see what delinquent repairs are left. When do you bring them in?
Once you gotta make an offer. If the offer is accepted, then yes, you gotta move forward with your due diligence, and that's gonna require doing an inspection. Do I have a contractor? Sometimes I have just a general contractor walk through the property and identify deficiencies. 2, do I get a full-on inspection report done? Yes, I may do that. That's also vital for when you want to wholesale. It just gives that buyer you're going to sign a contract to a little more reassurance of, well, okay, Thomas, spend the money on a home inspection. It's a third-party company. It's a full report. At no point does it really need me to be physically there. Right.
But I'm reading more and more of people just doing it all over the phone, and you don't need to have that face-to-face interaction.
again, it's just the world we live in now, especially the whole COVID thing. We're just doing everything, meetings and stuff. We're getting so comfortable doing these virtual Zoom calls and whatnot that, it's more and more likely that it's going to continue in the near future.
Yeah. So, and also, you're in Ohio now, right? So, did you know someone in Ohio, or how did you get into Ohio? Because you're finding most of your deals from referrals, right, from person to person. So, did you have some sort of connection to Ohio?
I started looking at different states. So, it took some time. I would just go on different podcasts and just kind of do my own research. And there's a handful of properties where the numbers are very attractive. Ohio happens to be one of them, where you get the 1% rule. It's very easy. There's even people doing 2% plus type of thing. Yep. So you're, acquiring a property, a single family home for under $100,000, and the rents are around $1,000 a month. I'm like, it's just like, so those are base hits. You could do this all day long. It just came down to, where some opportunities came up. And the first one was, I met someone and they were doing a deal in Ohio. I started looking at that particular market a little bit more. I said, he introduced me to somebody. And from there, acquired my first property. So it wasn't like a hard set, got to go to Ohio. It was almost like, where do the numbers work and where the opportunity came up? And it happened to be Ohio. And then all of a sudden you start dialing in that area and you start acquiring a few more in that area. And then after the second acquisition, when I actually flew to Ohio for a couple of days and drive around and get even more familiar with the areas and connect with some locals to build up my team in that area. You can find off market through my realtor contacts, again, through property managers. And then a lot of these, they're very, these turnkey providers, they're very common, but sometimes you build a relationship with them or a contractor they know. There's a property here, you kind of take a look at it. And then, things just start connecting and you find an off-market opportunity.
Thomas, if people want to get a hold of you, where's the best way to reach you?
Well, I'm very active on Instagram and Facebook. My Instagram handle is Thomas_Lorini, and my full name for Facebook. Those two platforms I'm on quite often. We got to start somewhere. You need to learn. Yes, you can go on Bigger Pockets. You can read. You can listen to blogs. But it's nothing like actually having someone that you can actually pick up the phone and call and ask questions, whatever's top of your mind. I want to be a resource for people.
That's great. Perfect. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you, Glenn. It's a pleasure. Awesome to meet you finally, and just wish you all the best.
Thank you.